Neil,
Ryan, we're live. We're prompt, my friend.
Yeah, it's so great to see you.
What's going on?
You know, not a whole lot. I got my second vaccine dose yesterday.
Congratulations.
No adverse effects. Feeling pretty good.
Great. You're well enough to attend a dinner party tonight?
Yeah, and it's Easter themed, as you can see.
I can see that.
Fun fact: my wife loves decorating, and she usually does the set dressing for the show.
Oh yeah.
And because the last one was in March, it wasn't Easter yet, so she said, "Let's leave it up." Right. So we're still celebrating Easter here in Barlow.
Right. It had never occurred to me that you might do much intentional set dressing. Just thought it always looked nice, though.
Well, thank you. Yeah, we actually, and not to plug People of Interest, which you can check us out on Facebook. I do the same thing for People of Interest. There is a certain amount of set dressing. Yep. And there are some Easter eggs that are probably very hard to see because you're looking at a TV screen, and my head's usually blocking them.
Yeah.
So,
right. If you're tuning in and confused about what you're watching, I'm Neil.
I'm Ryan.
And this is our dinner party. Thank you to Frigid New York for.
Oh, Neil, you're getting it now.
Yeah.
You're just crushing it today.
Space for us to do this. About once a month, Ryan and I get together, have a dinner party, and invite a special guest.
Yeah. It's thank you so much to Frigid. Save our stages. Feel free to just send the money. And
they need it
in our name.
Yes. In the Venmo note, just put Ryan or Neil. You can put Ryan if you like Ryan better. You can put Neil if you're a better person. So those are your options.
Or if you like us both evenly, you can put both of our names. But we won't make you write the name of the show because
we don't make anybody say it.
No, we're not gonna.
No. Anyways, Ryan, shall we get started with our little dinner party?
Yeah, let's do it. Who's joining us this evening, Neil?
We are joined this evening by Kae Lani Palmisano. Kae Lani is an Emmy award-winning TV host, food and travel writer, recipe developer. We got to ask about that. And home cook who loves to explore the journey that food takes to get to the plate. As an edutainer, her work focuses on having fun with food while educating audiences about where it comes from and its historical and cultural impact. Welcome, Kae Lani.
Hey, thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks for coming.
I'm glad to have you.
Yeah, this is fun.
How are you doing? What's happening?
Doing well. I am just nursing the last bits of a cheap bottle of, what do I have here? Malbec.
Ooh.
The cat is periodically coming in and out as he pleases. Sometimes he'll be on my lap. Sometimes, he's like cuddling on my husband's comic books. So,
yes. What's a dinner party without a cat wandering into someone's lap?
That's usually where I'm hanging out at the dinner parties. The person who's just like, hanging out with the cat. And how are you all doing?
We're good. We're good. It's the highlight of our month.
Ah, nice.
Yeah.
Every month, this is the highlight.
This is the one highlight we get.
The one highlight. Everything else is it's not a low. Everything else is not a low light. It's just like like a soft, maybe like a softer light. Like when you're not that really extreme light.
Not a spotlight.
Keep going.
Just I was like, well, halogen bulbs, and I didn't want to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Great. Well, Kae Lani, as you know, this is our dinner party. We're gonna hang out, chat with you, see what transpires. Your Kae Lani says on all the social media. Is that correct? Ryan's got
all of it. Yes.
So follow her right now if you haven't already.
There's always some fun stuff happening on the social media. Great recipes or wackadoodle things that I'm making in my kitchen. So check it out.
Yeah. Speaking of things in your kitchen, did you bring a dish to pass tonight?
Well, I did make something to eat earlier. I eat a little bit earlier, and I didn't want to eat in front of people. So I just have wine, but I also brought a dessert, dungaroos.
Oh.
Yeah.
So I have a question since you're sort of a food expert. Dungaroos always used to make me feel a little queasy after I ate them, and I thought it was because that the icing should have been refrigerated. Am I just making that up?
I'm not sure. Are you allergic to any of the colors that have the numbers after them, like red 17 or
No.
No?
I have no food allergies.
Huh. Yeah, I don't know. Or do you just not have a was there something with the texture that was off? Because
I thought I love icing. I'll eat icing like no problem.
well, now I'm skeptical. I don't think this needs to be refrigerated. It's extremely artificial.
Right. I'm convinced that the problem here is Ryan, not Dunkaroos.
Because I'm like, this has been on my dining room table for like a month now. I had big dreams of like whipping this into a recipe, like making pancakes or something with it.
Yeah.
But I just like started to slowly eat each of the packages. I'm like, nah, these are fine by themselves.
And now the world's going to get the chance to watch you. So, we'll try to get a screen grab while you're eating Dunkaroos.
Something really unflattering. No, but I did have
Dunkaroo pancakes.
Pancakes.
Would you have put the icing in the pancake mix, or would you have frosted the pancakes?
Frosted the pancakes.
But you crunch up the Dunkaroos?
Yeah, maybe crunch up the Dunkaroos. Maybe put it even in the batter. I don't know, like if you wanted like a different texture of something. But it was probably going to be like crunched up and sprinkled on top. Maybe with like a funfetti pancake, since it seems like a really funfetti thing. But a good hack, because many moons ago, before they brought back Dunkaroos, I had a 90s themed dinner party where there is a recipe, and it's like, I think it was like a bit of sour cream and yogurt or something, but with like a pack of funfetti mixed together. And that would be icing that you would need to put in the refrigerator.
Okay.
But it did have that kind of chemically tingling sweetness to it that the Dunkaroo icing has, but it went perfect with graham crackers. And yeah,
there you go.
I did mess up dinner though this evening, which is probably a little bit why I don't have
what was it?
Okay, so we just had an order of, because we're still in the phase of, we're fortunate enough to have groceries delivered to our house. So we just order things on Whole Foods, Amazon. So we had an Amazon delivery, and I had finally gotten, spiralized zucchini noodles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Sometimes I'm lazy and I don't feel like spiralizing them myself.
Sure.
So I'll buy them pre-spiralized. And so I was like, yeah, excited. Like made some tomatoes. I was like, sauteing some tomatoes. And I put the zucchini in the pan, and that zucchini smelled so bad. It smelled like really weird. I don't know what happened to it, but if there's something amiss with anything that I make, or if anything's in the kitchen, if there is a slight hint that it might not be good, I follow my instinct and I'm like, nope, not gonna eat it.
You're right. You're out.
Right into the trash. And I just had like this chickpea with purple onion, bell pepper, couscous kind of thing that I made for lunch with some shrimp, and it was good. Yeah.
So this is my question. It's like when getting your food delivered, like I do not trust anyone to pick out my produce. Like I can't imagine trusting someone to get the right kind of bananas.
Yeah, especially or the avocados at the right ripeness, you know what I mean? They're either like way overripe or
If I can push back on this, you trust other people to pick them from the plant that they grew on, get packed, shipped, and unpacked in a store. So you have
but then I get to choose from the ones that they picked.
My point remains.
Isn't this is something similar to the fallacy of choice, where it's like you have the illusion of choice?
Yes.
I suppose so.
No.
Produce drama.
Produce.
We're getting into it. We're getting into it early tonight.
Yeah.
Neil, what did you make for this evening?
Oh, speaking of produce, I have a little kind of like Indian veg curry, some potato cauliflower, just some rice and tamarind chutney. Nothing too wild, but
nothing to tamarind chutney. What?
I didn't make that. I came from a jar.
I mean, show it again.
Someone made it.
Yum.
A little higher.
Let me see if I.
Oh,
there we go.
Oh yeah, look at that.
That's nice. That's like that long grain rice too.
Oh yeah. Trader Joe's basmati. Ryan, what do you got, man?
So my mother-in-law gave us a bunch of white bread. I'm not entirely, I guess, for like my son to eat sandwiches on, but he's fine with. He usually just eats crackers. But so I was like, what am I gonna do with all this white bread? I was like, oh, you know what I'm gonna do? Breakfast for dinner. I made French toast.
Hey.
I just want to say that, Kae Lani, I plated this just for you because I hate plating. I'm just like throwing it all in.
I mean, same here. Yeah.
And then for protein, you got some sausages.
Ooh.
And you plated those as well.
And then I'm drinking a little rooibos tea.
Oh wow! Oh, look at the mug. I love baby mugs. Yeah,
yes, that's my son. He's 4 now. He turned 4 last Monday.
Oh, precious! Happy birthday!
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah,
he is a handful.
And Kae Lani, I'm so glad that you admitted that you were drinking cheap red wine because you know why?
Yeah.
Why get fancy for us? It's just me and Ryan.
it was like I had to, you know how if you open, and it's a screw top bottle too, like it wasn't a cork. Ooh,
that means less and less these days.
Oh. I mean, yeah, but it was just sitting around and it needed to get consumed.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't bust out the fancier bottle of wine.
We are not a fancy show. We want to be a fancy show.
I did.
That was the ideal.
We are a free show on the internet.
But I do have Dungaroos, so I'll pop into that. This is my dessert. It's actually like my 3rd dessert because I had other treats earlier in the evening.
For you.
Yeah. Lots of Easter candy.
Now, Kae Lani, you've done a great job at throwing some opinions at us already. Yeah. We're loving how this is going.
Yeah.
What are your beliefs about what makes a good dinner party?
Mm-hmm.
Ooh.
Do you have like a?
Sorry, as I like chew in people's ear. Hold on.
Look, I can vamp while you chew. This is one of the challenges with this show that we recognized very early on was we're just going to eat real food on camera while people watch, and also we're going to talk through this eating. That's an idea.
Oh no, it's all good.
There's only so many logistics we figured out.
For a good dinner party, conversation is key. I mean, to me, it's like you could just have a bunch of snacks, which is usually what my dinner parties are. It's like a buffet of snacks.
Sure.
You got your cheesy poofs, your pretzels, your I love dips too. My mom used to have these. Have you ever been to like a Tastefully Simple party?
I've never heard of that.
It's kind of like a Tupperware party. It's definitely an MLM.
Gotcha.
But you get these like pre-made, like, oh, you only have to add like a block of cream cheese and you get a dip. To like these little packs of
to a bowl, an empty bowl with a dip.
My favorite is there's a thing called the beer bread, like the Tastefully Simple beer bread, and literally all you add is like a bottle of beer, and then you throw it into the oven, and it's like it comes out as like this amazing loaf of beer bread. But I digress. So it's usually lots of finger foods and snacks, but conversation is key. Yes, dips.
Yeah, Kelsey does love dips, and she does love MLM. This is
shout out to MLM.
Topic in our house.
Yeah, but you know, when I used to I love hosting dinner parties, as I was talking about. Like I loved like the 90s party. So it's not just conversation. Like I will actually, it's not just about food either. I will arrange things in my house as conversation pieces and conversation starters. So I have like everywhere I've lived has had this mantle in the living room from where like a fireplace used to be. And I will specifically actually curate the books that are on the mantle, thinking to myself that people will be lingering around there. And so the books themselves become like, oh, have you seen Tim Allen's biography? Which, yes, we do have Tim Allen's biography. I have not read it, but it's a conversation starter.
Tim Allen's biography, is that Never Stand Too Close to a Naked Man? Is that?
Yes.
Yes.
Why would you know that?
I am just a sponge for useless information.
What if it makes you feel better? And maybe this won't. This will reveal something about me. I remember the title of that book as "Naked Underneath My Clothes," which I think is a Dave Barry book.
Oh,
maybe
these are the problems in my brain.
Dave Barry book. I don't know.
Strong 90s energy though. Comedians just want to be naked.
my favorite conversation starter at a party was the 90s party. Oh my God, that was a legendary party. You should ask my old roommate, Nicole, who like helped put this on, and she was like a lot of the imagination. We used to call our old apartment the Dreamatorium. So she was very much the mad woman of the Dreamatorium, and she concocted many of these 90s themed things that we busted out at this party. But we asked people to bring a photo of themselves from the 90s as kids, and we would guess who was the kid, right? And so the best photo was a friend of ours whose father was in politics in the 90s. And it's a picture of him asleep on Janet Reno's lap.
Wow.
I could not have predicted where that sentence was going. That is an amazing photo.
I thought it was going to be just like, here he is, like waving at George H.W. Bush. I'm like, no.
Yeah, I thought a Clinton handshake of a child was where this was going, but no.
That is a very 90s. That's like 90s photo.
It is very 90s. Yeah, but that's what I do is like I kind of wanted to grow up and be a Jay Gatsby character, a very kind of eccentric yet mysterious person who loves to host parties. Dreamatorium community reference. Oh yeah, Community was a great show. Yeah. Yeah, like I just love to host shindigs. But I, hopefully no one gets too drunk and hits someone with their car like in The Great Gatsby.
Did not see where that was going either.
That's where the book ends, right?
I don't know. I read it very
happened after the party.
Not
much later.
Oh, okay. It was like later in the book.
Apologies to anybody for whom we just spoiled the classic novel Great Gatsby. You probably should have read it by now if you're upset that it's spoiled.
You played a risky game saying that while I was drinking wine.
If you were legitimately upset that we spoiled the Great Gatsby, please let us know in the comments, and we will have you on the show to talk about it.
This is not how we book our guests at all.
That is a guarantee. We will have a special show, a Gatsby-themed show, just to talk to you about why you're A, have never read it, and B, we're upset that we spoiled it.
Oh, no.
Old sport. That's the old sport edition.
Yeah. All right. Okay. There was so much that you just dropped in there, Kae Lani. I think that's wonderful. Yeah. Do you have dinner parties that you've been to where you walked away and you were just like, no, that didn't count as a dinner party for you? Like you expected it to feel like one going in and you walked out and you're like, that was not that. That was
it might have been like, so every year my husband works for the Faulkner car dealerships in Pennsylvania. Mm-hmm. And so they throw a huge Christmas gathering every single year. And the one right before the pandemic was like the hors d'oeuvres. Like we only go for like the hors d'oeuvre cocktail hour because that in and of itself is enough of a meal. Yeah. My favorite is they have these martini glasses with mashed potatoes swirled in them with like little bacon.
Yes.
Oh, I love them too. But we went and even the hors d'oeuvres were like crummy and we did not eat like nearly as many hors d'oeuvres. Like we would just go and fill up on finger foods and everything. Yeah. And so there wasn't much to eat. So we left and we were like, oh, let's go to McDonald's. But the drive-through, we sat waiting in the drive-through for like 30 minutes and none of the cars were moving. And so we were like, well, before we get stuck where we can't get out of the drive-through, let's just go home. And so we didn't eat at all that evening. So that was a bust.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah.
So you really are like, this isn't working out, we're leaving. This food's no good. Yeah. Wait too long. I just won't eat.
Exactly.
We did have a question that someone was wondering what the trucker hat behind you. There's a trucker hat on the Mario block. They're wondering what it says.
It says, I think it says Fatal Fury. It might be a very, very specific reference to something.
It's a video game.
Nerdy.
Video game, and the main character wears that hat.
Yeah. See,
I don't know if his hat actually says Fatal Fury in the game. That might not be canon. It might just be great.
Well, my husband is like, he, as you could see, loves movies, video games, like pop culture nerd. And it's one of the reasons why like we connect so well too is like, oh, we love a lot of the really quirky things, but when it comes to anything that he buys that's nerdy, it's got to be super subtle and it's got to be really well done.
Mm-hmm.
Like, for instance, on our first date, he wore Al's Toy Barn on his t-shirt, and it was like a very subtle reference to Toy Story 2.
Yeah. I was actually just watching Toy Story 1 today, and it shows up in Toy Story 1 too.
Does it really?
In that Buzz Lightyear commercial.
Oh, wow. It was like they were planting the seeds.
They just put it all together.
Or they just referenced it back.
Yeah.
They created a universe.
Yeah.
I'm skipping a step here because there's certain things I don't need on the internet to live forever. But I'm gonna jump from Gatsby things to Toy Story, and there's a connection in my mind that I'll tell you guys
please.
after the show. But in maybe senior year of high school, my English teacher had just like checked out for second semester, like the students had, and I got away with writing a paper about Toy Story. She was like, I don't know, write about whatever you want, I guess. So I like Toy Story had been out a couple of years. I'd really enjoyed it, seen it in theaters twice as a like teenager. I was like, I know this movie well enough to tackle it as a literary like device. Yeah, sure.
It's a form of storytelling, and if you can really like break it down, like, so what was the essay about? What did it focus on? Do you remember?
If I remember right, it was about like the hero cycle, like Joseph Campbell's like Hero of a Thousand Faces. I love Joseph Campbell in my head. I probably actually have a copy of it on this computer somewhere.
That's amazing. Wait, and not on a hard drive? That's impressive.
I mean, like, it's moved several hard drives.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh, but I think it could be totally valid to write an essay about a movie that you really love and talk about the plot and storytelling devices.
Yeah. And it's almost like, not that it's easier, but that you can make it so clear and know that you're making the absolute right points where you say, this movie is laid out like this because it's intended for children, and the subtlety isn't there. And in that way, it fits this template perfectly. And that's why we have these as prototypes of Western literature, right?
Yeah, I think it's actually really impressive to be able to apply what you've learned in class to things outside of class, and really impressive to like apply it to things that are more modern versus trying to analyze works like The Great Gatsby from 100 years ago. Almost 100 years ago. Yeah.
What grade did you get?
I think I got an A. I think we were all getting A's for like.
Also, second semester feels like it's still quite early, like a bit too early to check out. I mean, because the semester, it's like, was it the beginning? Like, because we used to cut it into quarters, so it was like first, second, third, fourth. But it was first semester, second semester.
That's right. It was like January through June, and by March or so, she was like, "You guys are."
I was checked out in February. I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah,
my mom was not pleased.
She, I think to her credit, knew that like we were taking in exactly what we wanted to, what we needed to. The point at that point wasn't to make sure that we like tested well. It was more like, are you guys intrigued? Are you engaged? Fine. You're fine.
At least like I had an English teacher once tell me I thought too hard about a subject. It was the Canterbury. I remember specifically it was the Canterbury Tales, and it was one of the short stories in there. But we were talking about static characters versus dynamic characters, and whether or not so it was a static character, and there was a lot of allusion, I should say, a lot of allusion to like to clay and like things being molded by clay, and also too like I was like my family, I was big on gardening as a kid, and so we were big in gardening, and we moved to a town that the soil was clay, and like you can't really grow too much in clay. So I talked about the soil composition of clay. And my teacher said that I was thinking too hard.
I don't know.
He's like, Chaucer, he's a chump. You shouldn't spend that much time on it. Don't give him any more.
He's a real dummy about soil composition.
Yeah.
But I thought to myself, like, hey, come on, like people would have known about clay soil back.
Oh yeah,
in Chaucer's days.
Probably better than now.
So they had clay pots, so someone must put something together, right?
Yeah.
The Etruscans had clay, right?
A lot. I mean, clay's been around for a very long time.
Yeah, I assume there was a clay age, right?
I think it I think it bridges, like the Bronze era to yeah.
It was like the Bronze to the Iron Age or whatever it was.
It bridges those two.
It's kind of like how like we're in between like being Generation X and Millennials, where it's like, well, there's that weird subset generation.
Yeah.
It's like we're the clay people of the.
Speaking of historical significance of materials, Kae Lani, what are you up to these days, project-wise? What are you creating that you want to tell our guests, our audience about? You're the guest.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for asking. So we just wrapped up filming and editing the Delishtory series, which is for WHYY. It's on their YouTube channel.
Love WHYY.
Yeah, Delishtory. It's delicious. It's history, and it's Delishtory. So it's basically these short, fun videos that talk about the history and culture of food, like things that we think about every single day, or like we might use and have in our kitchens. And we just like, I deep dive, I go way nerd into topics like one of the previous episodes. One of my faves was the apple pie versus pumpkin pie. Oh, thank you. There's the link.
There we go.
Apple pie versus pumpkin pie, and how I argued that, like, why do we say American as apple pie? And I talk about the history.
It's better than pumpkin pie.
I mean,
apple pie is superior. That's right.
Depends on the apple pie. There's a lot of bad.
There's a lot of apples.
No, Ryan, save these hot takes for later, Ryan.
Sorry, it's too hot. Too hot. Please continue.
Oh no, but it's the concept of, apples are not native to North American soil. Like, we did have crab apples, but the types of fruit-bearing trees, the apple trees that we're familiar with that we eat from, they were brought over originally from Asia and then brought over by the English. Because like, if you want to grow apples, you have to graft the branches to the trees, which is a whole other topic. But anyway, apples, when we were doing the westward expansion in America, apples were used as a form of occupying land that was not like the colonists' land. So the government was like, hey, we want you to expand westward. If you can plant 50 apple trees and 30 peach trees, this land will be yours and you can stake claim to it for free. But what was happening was, like, they were pushing Native American tribes out of like their land because they were essentially like cultivating it by European standards. So apples were actually a form of westward expansion in America, which is like, hey, a lot of people might have grown up on an apple orchard, and it's because, your great-great-great-granddaddy planted apples to kind of take land. No offense, but that's the history of Johnny Appleseed. That's what Johnny Appleseed did. He like staked claim to like hundreds of acres of land throughout throughout a big swath of Appalachia. And
but he's not like an altruistic hobo. He's like I'm a drifter. He's like,
he was a quirky character, but he became like historical records. We don't know how much money he actually made, but chances are he became extremely wealthy from it. But the pumpkin is part of the squash family, which is indigenous to North America. Native Americans taught Europeans how to cultivate it. It's something that's like, and that was the whole point, was like, what is truly American is something that is not what we put here to replace what's here, but rather what we integrate into what was already here. And so that's my argument of apple.
Well, I look terrible.
Ryan, nothing
backing apple pie. Look, the white guy backed apple pie and it blew up in his face.
And this is why you watch Delishtory, right? It's like have these understandings like challenge.
So it's very important. So when you come up with the shows, do you like, oh, I know a little fun fact, let's dig deeper, or are you like, hey, what's up with that? Or like you're like, I know all this anyway.
It's a little bit of both. It all stems from work I've previously done. Like the whole argument about apple pie versus pumpkin pie came from, I had worked on a story about pumpkin spice. What was the history of pumpkin spice? Because that is truly an American thing. The first time pumpkin spice comes up is in this cookbook called American Cookery And that was a cookbook that was being published at a time where America had just split off from the British, and we were creating a cultural identity. And part of creating a cultural identity is creating a cuisine. So we wanted to make something that was authentically American. Yeah. So American Cookery came out and introduced us to pumpkin spice. And it's great. But yeah, like it usually branches off from something like either I've already worked on that like was something that I didn't get to explore too deeply before, or it's like, oh, I've been musing about like this, like cinnamon is coming up. I'm excited for that episode. I think that's this week.
Cool.
Yeah, but yeah, it's or through conversation.
Sure.
I learned where cinnamon comes from because if you watch Sesame Street enough, you watch there's the segments with Cookie Monster and Chef Gonger, and they have a food truck, and then inevitably Cookie Monster is one of the ingredients. They have to go to a farm or something and find out where it comes from. And I didn't know that cinnamon, that they actually literally bark of a tree that you're just shaving off and drying. I was like, I had no idea.
And there's like different kinds. Like the farther you go, it's like. One of my favorite weird facts is like for thousands of years, like cinnamon was highly sought after. And for thousands of years, people just like didn't know where it came from. It just kind of came from Arabian merchants across the sea. And so had these stories, they were like, oh, it comes from the cynomolgus, which is these huge cinnamon birds that take the cinnamon and the Arabians have to like take them off the cliffs and shoot down these birds to get the cinnamon. And it's like some of the mythology of cinnamon before they figured out where it came from. That's this week's episode, dropping Wednesday at 11.
Wow. All right. What tree? Kelsey asks.
I think it's like the cinnamolmus. I know it's really not that creative.
Is it a cinnamon tree? We just say it's cinnamon tree.
Yeah, it's cinnamon tree.
Wait, does that tree grow? You don't have to spoil everything that's in Wednesday's video. Does this tree do anything else?
It's a type of evergreen. Yeah. And the thing is like I think there's like 1,500 different varieties, but we really only take the cinnamon from 3 of these varieties, and they're all kind of around like India, China, just like the Asiatic Sea around there. Yeah.
Cool. Any other big projects you're working on that you want to throw out to the world?
Yeah, Amuse-Bouche, the Amuse-Bouche newsletter, which accompanies the Amuse-Bouche podcast, which comes out every other week, which the next episode has Neil on April 20th.
Oh.
Yeah. Explain what the like framing of the podcast is for those who haven't managed to subscribe yet, like fools.
Well, Amuse-Bouche, it's the course of the meal that is kind of like the whets your appetite. It's a little bite of something that's supposed to amuse the mouth, which is what that word means in French. And so like Amuse-Bouche is just like food stories meant to delight and amuse. I talk to different people who have like very hyper niche interests in either a particular type of food or like a particular area of expertise. Like Neil, we talked about breakfast sandwiches. We talked about improv, whether like how closely does one follow a recipe? Do you really need to follow the recipe? So those answers will be, those questions will be answered on the 20th.
Cool. So folks can subscribe to your newsletter and see how frequently is the text newsletter.
I try once. I have been once a week. Whether or not that comes out on the same day is a mystery.
It's a fun surprise.
Yeah.
Like
It could be a Tuesday. It could be a Wednesday.
Yeah. Right. When do any of our meals show up exactly on time as the way we think that they're right? Cool. No, that's a nice combination of activities you got going on there. I think
it's a nice blend of things. I also write for KitchenAid. I write for various outlets, so it's a mixed bag.
A spice blend, if you will.
Exactly.
Yes. Cool. Are you consuming any particular like media these days that's like really wetting your whistle? Speaking of,
oh golly gee, it's so funny to see the deductive reasoning of like why I watch the things I watch. okay, I wanted to watch something. Someone had mentioned the Garden State soundtrack, and it was like, oh, I miss when I was 17 and liking the Garden State soundtrack was a personality. And that hit me real hard because like I loved that album. I still love that album, but if I remember correctly, that movie was terrible. And I rewatched it this weekend, and it was like worse than I remember.
Really?
Yeah.
That's awful. Yeah.
What were your thoughts on Garden State?
I thought it was fine when I saw it, but like, you know.
I definitely saw it multiple times, like right around when it came out, at which point I was a definitely young adult already. And it hit in that way that like kind of certain kinds of rom-coms do, where you're like, this works for me, but does this work for me? Let me give it another go. And yes, the soundtrack is very much like of its moment and kind of a perfect crystallization. And because that soundtrack like holds up so well in its way, like the movie is basically forgotten now. Like, yeah, there's a reason nobody's like sitting around just being like, oh, you want to watch Garden State again this weekend? Unlike many things kind of a similar age and almost, I don't want to say genre, but like level of seriousness. Yeah.
I feel like that movie was it was trying to be all of the kind of thought-provoking coming of age stories of its time, and you could see where he was pulling a lot of influences from, but it was like every indie film trope like shoved into one. And you could even see like there were moments of the movie that I feel like were specifically filmed to make the trailer. Like it was just like composed way better than the rest. I was like,
terrible, but true.
We really let Zach Braff overstay his welcome for far too long.
Yeah.
What I realized was, so his character is 27. He was 27 at that time. He had written, directed, and starred in a film. And so, yeah, that was the quality of that was high quality and high bar for a 27-year-old.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah. Interesting to see what like access gets you.
I feel like when he was writing it though, like he must have been like, oh yeah. Okay, yes.
Feeling great. Doing genius work over here.
This is gonna blow everybody's minds. Here, put on these headphones. It's gonna change. What was the Shin? It was the Shins, right?
It was the Shins,
like,
yeah.
She's like, this is gonna change your life by listening to the Shins. Oh yeah, do the Shins. It was and I was just like I never got into like the big indie rock like scene, and like I was like, I feel like it kind of turned me off a little bit. I was like, this isn't changing my life. I must not like it.
There was a lot of effort put into it, and it was like, but it was also too much talking about issues, emotional, and like we were talking about hero's journey before. And I feel like a lot of these coming of age indie films are supposed to be this hero's journey, but it was a lot of talking about issues, but they didn't show the issues. Like for instance, the girl, I guess her character's name is Natalie Portman.
Yeah.
She's supposed to be a compulsive liar. So she lies several times when we first meet her character, but then she says, oh yeah, I'm a compulsive liar. It's like a tick. It just happens. And then she never lies again.
Yeah, right.
It was like they plopped this like this character device and then just forgot about it.
Yeah, I remember that. It was like, oh man, everybody has like some serious, mental issues that we're gonna unpack, and then it's like, oh, we unpacked them. They're gone now. We're fine.
They're fine.
Yeah. Like there was also things that were really problematic about it. And also too, I remembered when I watched the film, and then even now as an adult watching it, I just remember like the luxury of being able to just amble and meander through life aimlessly. I was like, honey, no, I had 2 jobs at 16. I could not afford to just like on a Tuesday afternoon go on an adventure for like drugs. Like, no.
Yeah.
Which is what happened in the film.
It's true. The thing that sticks with me from that movie, and it's bothered me to this day, is like he pulls up to his job or something, and he's like totally checked out and drugged out or whatever, and like he looks, and the hose from the gas station is still sticking out of his car. I'm like,
oh yeah,
you would know. There's no way that could happen. Gas everywhere, horrible, like total, like flammable, whatever. And I'm like,
some combustion, like
right, like Didn't notice.
Yeah.
I would watch that movie if he did that, drove away, and the gas station just exploded.
Do you remember the ending? Like, because the ending really, like, not the ending, but the last adventure, his last day adventure, where they basically go on this like weird scavenger hunt for an item that the friend has procured. Do you remember that bit?
We're totally fine spoiling The Great Gatsby, but we're going to be big about Garden State.
I'm gonna get real granular about Garden State right now.
It's the
Guys,
Great Gatsby.
there's you know what I'm talking about at the end of the movie. I don't want to spoil it.
But it's like right before the end of the movie, which, by the way, the end of the movie is very like predictable, believe me. He makes like life decisions on 2-day whims, but his friend wants to take him out for an adventure to go get a gift, and so they go on this like weird journey where they like shoplift knives, and then they go to this hotel to like to deliver drugs, like to deliver a tank of nitrous, right, so that they could get information to go to the guy's like the cavern, the guy who lives in the boat near the cavern.
Yeah.
Turns out, like, if you pay really close attention to the movie, the guy he dug graves, and he stole his mom. They buried. I
remember that very specifically.
So he like stole his mom's necklace out of the grave, and then they went on an adventure for him to give him back his mother's necklace.
And you see him in the hole. You see him in the hole, like with a shovel, like.
Yeah, and he like comes out. He's like, "Oh, it's like, you know, yeah."
Don't mind me. I'm just grave robbing.
And the look on Zach Braff's face was like he seemed so charmed and amused by it. Like he was like, "Oh, what a great friend! He gave me my mom's necklace from her grave." Like, no, but he stole it, and then felt bad, and then tried to get it back.
And it was something silly, right? Wasn't it like a ball puzzle maze thing?
Wow, you have a really good memory. Yeah.
I remembered the name of Tim Allen's autobiography.
That's also true.
Yeah.
That's where I hold. That's my specificity in this show. I remember way too many insane details about it.
Yeah. All right. Well, Kae Lani, we've come to a portion of the show that we're very excited to have you on for. Which is we have a chef friend who's going to pop in.
Ooh.
Yeah. Ryan, you want to?
Sure. So we know Neil was, Neil and I were discussing that you love playing like sort of fun games. So we have a fun game. So we have Chef Joe Wenderhovich is going to come on and play Kitchen Quizzo with you.
Yeah.
Yep.
Kitchen.
Hi.
Hi, Chef Joe.
Hi. How is everybody? Thank you for having me.
We're doing great.
Thank you so much for doing this. We know that you're, an expert in the kitchen, and the game we're gonna play, Joe. If you want to key it up, or I can do it if you prefer.
No, I'll explain it real quick. It's pretty simple. So it's Kitchen Quizzo. It's something. So I'm a chef, Kae Lani. Nice to meet you. I'm a chef at Christensen's Kitchen in Northeast Philly. That's right off of Byberry and Worthington, right behind the firehouse.
Oh, cool.
So it is a gastropub, and something we like to do with the new hires just for fun is we play Kitchen Quizzo. So what I'm going to do is I have a few items that I stole from the kitchen. I'm going to just put them up, and then everybody can play if you would like. You just have to name the item, and it's that simple. You name the item, you get a point. And I have 6 items, if that's okay. Is that perfect? Is that good?
Wonderful.
Excellent. Awesome. Okay, so here's the first one. Kae Lani, I'm going to give you a little bit of a head start because this one actually says, where is it? This one actually says KitchenAid on it. I don't know if you can see that. And I know you mentioned that you write for KitchenAid.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow.
Okay. So if anybody can tell me what this is, it's circular and metal in the center and plastic on the outside.
And what do you use it for?
Can I just shout it out, or?
Yeah, no, please.
No, I don't want to like ruin the fun. I know what it is, but like
I don't know what to call it. I've like this is a challenge I have sometimes. Like that's a thingy.
Well, you're the Kae Lani. You get first dibs. You get first crack.
I just call it like the apple core, like you can slice apples. Well, yeah, that's what I call it. But like it slices the apple into like perfect little slices. Or I guess like, can it be used for something else? Am I missing something?
No. So you call it the apple core?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
Oh no, is there a different word for it?
No. That was perfect. Thank you.
It's a 1 point for Kae Lani, I guess.
One
all right.
point
Cool.
for Kae Lani, the apple
Core.
core. Okay, great. We're off to a wonderful start. Okay. Item number 2. This one's really big, so I'm gonna back up, okay? So you can see the whole thing.
All right.
It's really long, and it's made of metal, and it's got a big long handle, and it's flat right here. And a lot of the cooks use it for burgers and veggie burgers. And you, from what I can tell, you can only touch this part. You should never touch this part when you're using it. Does anybody know what this is called?
A lasagna lifter.
Lasagna lifter.
Yeah, that's what I call that.
1 point for Neil. What?
Kae Lani, did you have a guess? Neil, you should like Kae Lani.
I feel like it's good
for
perfect for lasagna. It's got great leverage, long handle, lift with all the layers, right?
Yeah.
Lasagna lifter. We don't serve lasagna at the Gastropub, of course.
Oh yeah, folks should play along in the chat for sure.
Oh yeah, totally forgot to.
Marta, please.
Grill spatula. Oh, it says grill spatula.
Grill spatula.
So Joe, is it a grill spatula or a lasagna lifter?
Well, I started writing lasagna lifter, so that's the right answer.
Okay.
So 1 point for Kae Lani, 1 point for Neil. Ryan, come on, man.
All right.
Get it up.
Okay.
All right. Now this is very interesting.
Okay.
I see a lot of the servers at the Gastropub. They turn it upside down and they shake it a lot. And of course, you can see that it's got a lowercase d on it. Can you see that?
I see that.
Okay. And on the bottom it says abode, and of course it was made in China.
Okay. So can we see what comes out of it? Can we? Is there?
Well, it's empty. We finished it off, of course, during the lunch shift today.
Yeah.
Okay. Is it a So it's the letter lowercase d on it.
Lowercase d.
So of course there's a lowercase d, which could stand for dish, dessert.
Is it a dispenser?
Dispenser.
Dispenser of some sort, but I don't know of what.
Dispenser, yeah. It's a dispenser.
It's tiny particles. Wait,
and that would be.
Wait. Joe, what if you turn it? If you turn it around, what if it's a P?
This could be interesting.
Then definitely for Parmesan.
Oh, P for Parmesan.
P for Parmesan.
Parmesan shaker.
Parmesan shaker. Parmesan.
Yeah.
Are we sure?
Actually, we call it shake cheese in my house.
Shake cheese.
Yeah.
Shake a cheese.
Yeah.
Shake a cheese.
Shake. Oh.
Like, is it like 2 dashes like tilt-a-whirl? Shake a cheese?
It's shake cheese.
Shake cheese.
Oh,
You're not shake cheese. It's a shake cheese.
I call it shaky cheese. Shake a cheese.
Shake.
Combine the two.
Yeah. And then you can say shake cheese dispenser.
SCD.
Yeah.
D-I-S.
And then there's a P in dispenser.
E-N-S-E-R. Shake cheese dispenser. Awesome. So it's a 3-way tie. This is so exciting.
Right.
Okay, 3 more. We're halfway done. Oh my gosh! I hope we don't have a 3-way tie where everyone gets 2 points. I might have a 7th object if there's a tie.
Oh, all right. We'll see.
All right.
That.
Okay.
So this is very fun to look at and play with. So on this side, there's a lot of like super tiny holes down here, and then there's still a lot of tiny holes, but less tiny holes up here. And then if you turn it around, there's even less holes, but they're even bigger.
Okay.
Wow.
And of course, the bottom is completely open, and of course, the top is completely closed. So does anybody know what this is called?
Yeah, least favorite object to clean.
Oh.
Least favorite object to clean.
A sponge
ruiner. Yeah, that's
sponge ruiner.
What is it?
Yeah.
A sponge
ruiner.
Sponge
Somebody guessed.
ruiner.
Yeah.
Sponge. Whose point was that?
That's for the audience. The audience got
The audience gets a point.
Four-way
tie.
tie.
A
Oh
point.
my gosh.
The entire audience. You're all
We've
working
never
together.
had a four-way tie in the history of Kitchen Quizzo.
Well,
Not once.
Sponge.
Strange.
No.
strange how that works.
Yeah.
Sponge ruiner.
Okay.
Do we? What do we? I mean, other than ruining sponges, what does it do for cooking?
So a lot of times, of course, I see in the kitchen, the other chefs will take, we have these giant cheese wheels about yay big. And of course, the other chefs, I've never used one, but of course the other chefs will take it and place it on top of the cheese wheel and rub it really softly and slowly like that. And of course they pick up the cheese wheel and they tip it over like that on top of spaghetti and other pastas at the gastropub.
Okay.
But we don't sell lasagna.
No,
Right.
no. But it
That's
is
too much.
it is for cheese rubbing.
Yeah.
For cheese rubbing, yes.
Cheese rubbing. A cheese rubbing device. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, two
I'm
more
gonna
items.
cheese rubbing.
I'm trying to figure out which one I want to save for last because they're both really good. Okay, we'll go with this one next. Now, I see a lot of the cooks, I've never used it, but I've seen a lot of the cooks and chefs spray this on the pans, the pots and the pans before they start cooking. And of course it helps them cook. And if you could tell me what it is, I can read that it says Pam, but if you can tell me,
Who is Pam?
What does Pam do?
Kae Lani, do you know if there's a history of Pam? Like,
Yeah,
who is Pam?
I would love
I mean,
the Pam
surely-
history.
Well, now
yeah,
I am curious of because it's become such a synonymous brand. I guess it's like pan, greasy pan. make a pan greasy.
Pan. Make a pan greasy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
You
hands-
say it with a
hands getting
flourish.
tired.
You say, make a pan greasy.
I'll make
Make
a
a pan greasy. It's
It's like when you're watching like Gia De Laurentiis and she does she slips into that Italian accent.
Oh yeah.
It's like that. Like when
So
she's like,
charming.
and then you have the prosciutto.
Greasy.
Yeah. And then you say, make a pan greasy.
Greasy.
You have to say it like that, or people won't take you seriously.
Shake your cheese.
Greasy is EA, right? EA.
GREAS.
That's
Got it. Perfect. Okay. All right. Kae Lani's up by 1, I think, if I'm doing my math right. So last opportunity for somebody to tie. And of course, we have a tiny paper bowl that we often see in the kitchen in the morning time. Often the servers, I'll see them pour coffee into it and then stick it into a machine. And then it comes out really wet and damp. And of course, what is this called?
Kae Lani is our guest. We'd love you to take the first.
I fear that I'm going to bark up the wrong tree here.
Coffee doily.
Coffee
Coffee
doily.
doily. Ooh, I like that.
I think of them as disposable ramekins, but don't take my word.
I thought it was a coffee bloom. It's not a coffee bloom because it looks like a flower.
Ooh,
I've heard that before. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, you're confusing me. I just have to go with the first thing I heard. Okay.
That's fine.
Okay.
That's fine. Like I said,
Well,
ignore
which one's correct?
First coffee doily was correct. It was the
Okay.
first one I heard. How do you spell doily?
Good question.
It's DOILY.
L coffee doily. Well, let me see. Kae Lani, congratulations, you won.
Yay!
That was
So
fun.
if you have a job at Christensen's Kitchen,
Hey!
that
Yeah.
was the prize.
My first
love
day on the job, I'm making lasagna.
Oh wow!
Oh, I'll have to talk to the boss about that.
All right.
I thought you were the boss.
No, of course, my uncle Eric Christensen is the boss. Former fire chief. That's why we're located right behind the firehouse.
Oh.
Do y'all have chili? I feel like firehouses always have the best chili.
Oh, we have the best chili, Kae Lani. Please come by.
Oh,
How do you get it? What do you make it in?
Oh, these cylinder metal cylinders. It's so amazing the things we have because some of them we have are like this big, but then some are like this big, and then there's like some in between that size too. It's really.
That's great.
If you ever come by, please, of course, tell them you know me, and they'll give you a tour of the kitchen, and I'll show you around.
Yay! Thank you.
Great.
Thank you so much.
All right. Well, folks, we should wrap things up here. We gotta clear out of the frigid virtual space. But Chef Joe, Kae Lani, thanks for coming by.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe a toast.
A little toast-a-rooney. Yeah. Everybody have something to.
Oh wait, I'll do a dungaroo because I'm out of wine.
Yeah. We'll do a cheers to Dunkaroos.
Cheers.
Yeah. Right. All right.
So say, here's to the snacks that brought us all together.
That's right.
Cheers.
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 Sorry, Neil, are you drinking out of a jigger?
Ryan, we don't ask questions that might embarrass our co-host.
Sorry, wait. Did I get the right word, Joe? Could you just take a look at that item that Neil had? Is that what is this called?
Oh, that's a jigger. Yes, you got it.
Oh.
I was just gonna call it a boozy black hole.
Yeah.
Double cone. I call it a double cone.
A double, yeah.
Yeah, right.
Jigger.
Yep. Great. Well, Chef Joe, Kae Lani, pleasure having both of you. We'll see you back in the green room. This was a real delight to have the both of you here.
Yes.
For a bit this evening. We'll get you backstage, as it were, and Ryan and I will wrap things up.
Yeah, as we often do.
Yeah.
Neil, we did it again. I guess we did it again.
Somehow
we did it again.
Through the magic of frigid New York and the great technical abilities of Amanda Nicastro, the world's greatest screen manager.
I have to specifically shout out that today I was like, oh, the name of Joe's show is Kitchen Quizzo.
Mm-hmm.
And could you make something? Because she did it a few months ago, and she did that with the spices.
Mm-hmm.
How good was that? It was so good.
What a great move.
I also love that Amanda took a victory lap on that one. I really appreciate that. I'm not being glib. Like I was like, that's the right move. I like that.
Speaks to her her joys as a collaborator. So
yes, couldn't do without her.
Again, I'm Neil.
I'm Ryan. Follow us to find out other shows. We'll post we also have an archive of all of our shows on YouTube that you can check out. I don't know if we've made a playlist officially yet, but we'll make that happen.
Not yet, but
New York. We're all on Frigid's YouTube.
Yep. And they're opening up live shows again over the coming weeks and months, and that's very exciting for them. So we really do appreciate everything that everybody there has done. They've been stellar to work with through this internet thing. And we'll be back in a month or so. Yeah.
I'm sorry, Neil. Do you think we should mention that Joe is not a chef and that he didn't actually?
Maybe now is the time to.
Yeah, I don't know like that getting out on the internet of like Joe's like running a crappy restaurant.
None of you should drive to Northeast Philadelphia looking for Joe's fake restaurant, please. Yeah, pretty please.
Yeah, and if there is a Christensen's in Northeast Philly, I'm sure it's fine, and they might have lasagna.
That's right.
But Joe is an improv friend of ours who's just very funny, and he was very funny tonight, as you saw.
Wonderful human.
Yeah,
great,
wonderful human being. And so as was Kae Lani, who was just a delightful guest.
Yeah. Folks, subscribe to her Substack. That is really a joy of a newsletter. Nice mix of information, entertainment, and food love. And you can also then subscribe to her podcast from there. And you can hear me on that in just over a week talking stuff.
Oh, yeah. All right. Well, Neil, as always, great to see you.
Always good to see you.
Yes. All right. Well, have a good night, and good night to all of you watching.
Good night, friends. Thanks for tuning in.
Mwah.
Bye. Bye.
Oh, maybe we're supposed to freeze frame.
Freeze frame.
No, wait. I don't like.
Well, we can just keep.
I guess this goes.